looking into a mirror can be a difficult thing to do. I'm not talking about when you're shaving or applying makeup or trying to fix your hair. I'm talking about taking the time to look into a mirror and to focus on the reflection that you see. And that's a scary thing to do. It's not that the mirror is scary, it's the reflection that you see that's scary. I mean, when you think about the word reflection, I mean, we normally think about seeing ourselves in a mirror and what that looks like and what we look like. Reflection is something that we should do, and most of us know that that's something that we should do. We know that we should take the time to reflect and to think about our life and to think about the kind of person that we are and the kind of life that we're living. Reflection is not something that we're very good at, and I think there's several reasons why we're not very good at it. One is it does take time. It takes uninterrupted time. It takes quiet time, and time is something a lot of us don't think we have very much of. Another thing that's required if I'm going to reflect is honesty. I have to be honest. If there's going to be any benefit from any time of reflection, I have to be honest. Another thing that I have to do is I have to deal with reality. So if you just think about those three things, if I were to ask you, hey, I got something I need you to do and it's going to require some quiet time, some honesty, and it's going to force you to deal with reality, that's probably not something that you would be very excited about. But yet reflection is something that we know that we should do, especially this time of year. I mean, our calendar's kind of screaming at us that we should reflect. I mean, as we come to the end of 2014 and as we're getting ready for the beginning of 2015, there's just something inside of us that says, hey, you know, I probably should think about this past year and I should think a little bit about the coming year. So our calendar kind of tells us to do that. Well, the Scriptures also tell us to do that. The Scriptures there's lots of different places you can go in Scripture that can kind of point us to this idea that we're supposed to spend some time reflecting on our life. And what I want to read is from Psalms 139. Psalms 139 ends like this. It says, "Search me, O God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. Point out anything in me that offends you, and lead me along the path of everlasting life." So our calendar tells us we should reflect. If we're followers of Jesus, if we're Christians, our Scriptures tell us we should reflect. And then there's just something inside of us that we just kind of know. Now, there needs to be some time when I evaluate my life and reflect on where it is. Two benefits that come with reflecting. One would be this, is it gives you permission to celebrate. And we're all about celebration. We love to celebrate, and we should. And that's kind of what the holidays are about. We love to celebrate all kind of things during the holidays. And when I take the time to reflect, and I look back on my year, there are some victories there. There's some things, there's some wins. I mean, some of us way back at the beginning of 2014 said we're going to exercise on a daily basis here, that we're going to save money, or that we're going to work on friendships, or we're going to work on our marriage, or we're going to make our family better. And we've set some goals at the beginning of 2014, and we've met them. And when I take the time to reflect and look back on my year, it gives me permission to celebrate the life that I'm living. The other benefit that comes from reflection is this, is it shows me where I need to change. It shows me where I need to be different. It shows me the weak points. Just like the scripture that we just read, where David's prayer is, God, point out to me the things in my life that offend you. And when I take that time to reflect, God will reveal to me the things that offends Him. And so it gives me the opportunity to be different. And the fact that you're watching this probably says that you want to be different. You probably don't need me to tell you any ways to celebrate. You probably know how to do that one. But how do we change? How do we become different people? How do we go about fixing those things in our life that need to be fixed? That's where at least I need the help, and if you're like me, that's where you need the help. Well, I think the word map can help us. And because you know what a map is helps you get from one place to the other. And when I sit down and reflect on my life, And I think, hey, this is where I'm at, but this is where I want to be. I need a map or know how to do that. Here's what MAP can stand for. If we'll do these three things, it'll help us be different and help us change the things in our life that we need to change. The M in MAP stands for motivation. I have to have the proper motivation. I have to be motivated to want to be different. If I sit down and reflect and think about 2014 and everything's great and everything's wonderful, then I'm not going to be really motivated to change anything. But if I take the time to say, okay, and really look into my life and say, okay, here's some things that I know that offends God, offends the people in my life, some things that are in my character that needs to be changed, I got to have the motivation to do that. Not only do I have to have motivation, I have to have accountability. And that's what the A in MAP stands for. It stands for accountability. I need to have people in my life that are helping me, that are pushing me and pulling me to be the better person, to do something about the time that I reflect. So I got to have motivation. I got to have accountability. And then the P in MAP stands for plan. I got to have a plan. I got to know what to do. I've got to know what kind of things that I can put into place. So I got to have motivation, accountability, and a plan. And I need all three. 2 out of the 3 doesn't work. Because I know a lot of people are motivated to change and they really want to change, and they tell everybody that they meet that they want to change. And they got all kind of accountability partners, but they don't have a plan. And that doesn't lead to change. I know a lot of people who have plans. They got plans, plans, and plans. They got more plans than they know what to do with, but don't really have any motivation. And without that, it's not going to work. You have to have all 3. I have to have motivation, I have to have accountability, and I have to have a plan. I know that reflection is a hard thing to do. I know that it's difficult to sit down and be honest with ourselves and to deal with the reality that's going on in our lives, but it's something that we're supposed to do. Our calendar tells us, our heart tells us, and the Scripture tells us. So my challenge to you over these next few days as we end one year and begin a new year, may you take some time to reflect. And in those places where you need to celebrate, may you celebrate well. And in those places that you need to change, may you be motivated to change. May you have the right and proper accountability to change. And may you develop the proper plan to change.